Imagine you're out celebrating your little sister's prom, your aunt's birthday. The people you trust most in the world are right there with you. Music's playing. You're laughing, dancing in the street like you don't have a care in the world. And then, headlights. The impact throws you. Metal on bone. Your body hits the pavement. The car doesn't stop. It keeps moving, dragging you across the asphalt while your friends scream your name. The driver? Someone you rode with that night. Someone you called a friend. That's not a nightmare. That's what happened to 25-year-old Amiya Cunningham on April 26, 2025, at a Forest Park intersection.
Well, new tonight at 11, calls for justice are growing after a Metro Atlanta 25-year-old woman's death 10 days ago.
So it was all captured on video, leading people to share her story all across the internet.
This is Amiya Cunningham. She was with friends on April 26 before she was run over and killed just before midnight. Forest Park police are investigating her death, but no arrests have been made.
And here's the part that'll make your blood run cold. The police watched the surveillance footage, saw her body in the street, interviewed witnesses, and said there was no crime, no negligence, no foul play, no criminal responsibility. They were ready to close the case and walk away. If you've ever ignored a gut feeling about someone close to you, if you've ever brushed off tension because you didn't want to rock the boat, you need to hear what happened next. Because Amiya had that feeling earlier that night. She texted a friend saying, "The vibes are off." Hours later, she was dead. Hit the subscribe button right now, because the warning signs you missed could be the ones that cost you everything. Don't wait until it's too late to pay attention. So how did a celebration turn into a crime scene? How did the police get it so wrong? And why did it take 3 weeks of public outrage to get an arrest? Stay with me, because this story will change how you think about trust. Welcome to Forensic True Crime Stories, where we share true crime stories based on real events that deserve to be told. Kindly support us by subscribing to this channel and turn on the notification bell icon so you never miss a new story. Before we get into what happened that night, you need to know who Amiya Cunningham really was, because she wasn't just a headline. She wasn't just another true crime statistic. She was the oldest of 7 siblings. Think about that for a second. 7 kids, and she was the one they all looked up to. The protector, the nurturer, the glue that held everyone together. Her aunt, Chandra Walker, described her as a beautiful soul full of love, laughter, friendship, a passion for animals, and fierce love of her family. Amiya loved animals like they were family. She'd stop to pet every dog on the street. She'd rescue strays, that kind of person. And she had plans, real plans. She just started making moves to enroll in beauty school. A fresh start, a career that actually meant something to her. She was done waiting for life to happen. She was making it happen. April 26th was supposed to be one of those perfect family nights. Her younger sister was going to prom, her Aunt Chandra's birthday, double celebration. The whole family was out, dressed up, taking pictures, hyping each other up. Amiya was doing what she always did, making sure everyone else was having a good time. But underneath all that joy, something was brewing. Earlier that night, Amiya was traveling with a group of friends in a 3-car convoy heading to Atlanta. They'd gathered at a pregame party first, music thumping, drinks flowing, Amiya in the center of the room, dancing, vibing, being the life she always was. But someone in that circle wasn't celebrating with her. Someone was watching, waiting, getting more and more agitated with every laugh, every move, every second Amiya took up space. That someone was Alexandria Larkin. And at some point during that party, the energy shifted. Witnesses say there was tension. Nothing major at first, just a vibe change. Alexandria suddenly wanted to leave. Right now. No more waiting. What caused it? Maybe jealousy. Maybe Amiya was getting all the attention, and Alexandria couldn't stand it. Maybe it was something deeper, something that had been building for weeks. Whatever it was, it planted a seed. And then Amiya pulled out her phone and texted a friend who wasn't there. This is where it gets eerie. She said, I should have rode with you. The vibes are off. The vibes are off. She felt it. She knew something wasn't right with the people she was with, but she didn't leave. She stayed. Maybe she thought she was overthinking it. Maybe she didn't want to cause drama. Maybe she figured she'd be fine. She wasn't. Now, if you're someone who still won't subscribe after hearing that, I want you to do me a favor. Go ahead and drop a comment below. Tell me why. Tell me why you're okay watching stories like this without supporting the channel that brings them to light. I'm genuinely curious. What's holding you back? Because if hearing about a 25-year-old woman who ignored her instincts and paid with her life isn't enough to make you hit a button, I honestly don't know what will move you. So what went wrong? What turned a night of celebration into a scene so horrific that it would go viral and force the police to reverse their own investigation? Let's go back to that intersection. Here's how it all went down. When it was time to leave the pregame and head to the club, the group split into 3 cars. T, a male friend who'd invited Amiya, took the red truck with another guy. Alexandria drove alone in a black SUV, and Amiya climbed into a silver car with 2 other women, Deja and Mickey. Deja had been Amiya's neighbor since middle school. 12 years of friendship, 12 years of sleepovers and secrets, 12 years of calling each other sisters. That history is why Amiya felt safe getting in that car. She trusted Deja. She had no idea Deja had already picked a side, and it wasn't hers. The 3-car convoy headed toward Atlanta. T in the lead, Alexandria behind him, the silver car with Amiya in the back. Somewhere on the highway, T missed his exit. His red truck disappeared into traffic. Now there were only 2 cars left. Alexandria's black SUV and the silver car with Amiya trapped inside. Predator and prey, traveling in formation. That's when Amiya sent the text that would haunt everyone who read it. 11:43 p.m. To T. The vibes are off. I should have rode with you. Your body knows before your brain does. Something in that car was wrong. Amiya felt it. Maybe it was how Deja and Mickey were looking at her. Maybe it was the silence where laughter used to be. Maybe it was the realization that she was completely outnumbered. Her nervous system was screaming danger. She texted her fear instead of acting on it. How many times have you done that? Felt the threat but stayed anyway? Texted someone else about your discomfort instead of removing yourself from harm? Amiya's last mistake was thinking someone else could save her. The only person who could have saved Amiya was Amiya. The 2 cars reached the intersection of Forest Parkway and Frontage Road. Red light. Both cars stopped. Alexandria in the black SUV. Deja driving the silver car with Amiya and Mickey inside. This is where the plan kicked into motion. Surveillance cameras captured what happened next, but they couldn't capture the conversation inside that silver car. What did Deja say to Amiya? What did Mickey whisper? How did they convince her to get out and dance? Because that's exactly what Amiya did. She opened the door, stepped into the street, started moving to music only she could hear. Right in front of Alexandria's SUV. 11:44 p.m., Amiya is dancing. Maybe she wanted to shift the energy, get the good vibes back. Maybe she thought it would be funny. Maybe Deja and Mickey pushed her out there, told her to loosen up, stop being paranoid. But then Amiya looked up. She saw Alexandria behind the wheel. She saw the expression on her face, and she realized this wasn't fun anymore. She realized she'd been set up. She realized her friends had delivered her to her killer. It was already too late. 11:45 p.m. The engine revs. The SUV lurches forward. Metal meets flesh. Amiya's body hits the ground. She disappears under the vehicle. Dragged, crushed, broken. The car doesn't stop. It keeps going with Amiya underneath. 30 feet, 40 feet, until her body finally rolls free, lying motionless in the intersection. Alexandria doesn't brake, doesn't turn around. She drives away, leaves Amiya dying in the street, leaves her so-called friends to deal with the mess. That's not panic. That's not shock. That's calculation. Here's the thing. You think you know your friends? You think you can predict who would stop, who would help, who would stay? But Amiya thought that too, and she was wrong. Subscribe now, because we're breaking down cases that show you the truth about human nature when no one's watching, when the cameras are off, when it's just you and your conscience. That's when you see who people really are. Minutes later, T arrives at the intersection. He sees the crowd, the flashing lights. He starts recording, thinking it's just an accident. Then he gets closer. He recognizes the body, his friend, the woman who texted him her fear. The woman he could have saved if he just insisted she ride with him. The guilt will eat him alive. First responders work frantically. They revive Amiya. Once, her heart starts, then stops. They revive her again. Twice. 3 times. 4 times she fights to come back. 4 times her body gives out. Paramedics rush her to Grady Memorial Hospital, but the fight is over. Amiya Cunningham is pronounced dead, and the woman who could have saved her? She's already driving home, washing the blood off her car. Now the footage was clear. The witnesses were unanimous. Amiya was hit. Amiya was dragged. The driver fled. So naturally, the police would arrest Alexandria Larkin immediately, right? Wrong. Here's where the system failed. After reviewing the surveillance footage, the same footage that would later go viral and spark national outrage, the Forest Park Police Department made an official statement. They said their investigation, which included watching the video and interviewing witnesses, found no evidence of malice, negligence, or foul play. Read that again. No. Foul play. They concluded that the driver bore no criminal responsibility for Amiya's death. As far as the police were concerned, this was just a tragic accident. Case closed. Move on. Nothing to see here. And for a few days, that's exactly what happened. No arrest, no charges. Alexandria Larkin walked free, but Amiya's family, they weren't having it. Chandra Walker, Amiya's aunt, the woman whose birthday turned into a funeral, refused to let this slide. She organized a candlelight vigil at Cliftondale Park in South Fulton. Family and friends showed up wearing green, Amiya's favorite color. They lit candles, released balloons, shared memories, cried together, and made a promise. Mia's death will not be in vain, Chandra said. Our family will see to it that she gets the justice she deserves. And because the crash happened on Chandra's birthday, this wasn't just about justice. It was personal. She died on my birthday, Chandra told reporters. So this is personal to her, Nini. She will get the justice she deserves. Meanwhile, the internet was doing what the internet does best, holding people accountable when the system won't.
There are no words to describe the devastation that we are experiencing by the killing of our beloved Amiya. Amiya has always been a beautiful soul full of love, laughter, friendship, a passion for animals, and a fierce love of her family. We know how to make sure anyone else around us is having a good time. That's exactly what she was doing on Saturday, April 26th. Maya's death will not be in vain. Our family will see to it that Maya gets the justice that she deserves.
I'm so happy to have her in my life and as a friend.
Just to know that she was even in the process of changing her life around makes me happy.
Maya didn't mean no harm to nobody.
We gonna live for Maya.
I ain't even gotta walk in with my tool out. It's getting too loud.
The surveillance video started circulating online. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Content creators amplified the story. Comments poured in. You ran that girl over. You're going to jail for life. People who had never met Amiya were demanding justice for her. The video didn't lie. You could see everything. The impact, the dragging, the fact that the driver didn't stop. And the public started asking the same question Amiya's family had been screaming from day one. How the hell did the police watch that footage and see no crime? But here's where it gets even more twisted. 2 hours after leaving Amiya to die in that intersection, Alexandria Larkin came back to the scene with her husband, playing the shocked, concerned citizen. Officer, what happened here? Such a tragedy. Hope they catch whoever did this. The nerve. The absolute ice-cold nerve. Police found out Alexandria had issues with her license and registration. They impounded her car, the same car she'd used to run Amiya over. But they didn't arrest her. They let her walk away. This is why channels like mine exist, because sometimes the system doesn't work. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect us drop the ball, Or worse, they pick a side before they even know the truth. And if you're not subscribed, you're missing the stories that prove it. Don't be the person who only cares after it's too late. Hit subscribe. Be part of the pressure that forces accountability. Because without people like you paying attention, cases like this get buried. The pressure mounted. News outlets picked up the story. More witnesses came forward. The Forest Park Police Department was getting destroyed in the court of public opinion. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. Alexandria Larkin was free. Amiya's family was grieving. The public was furious. And then on May 17th, everything changed. On Friday, May 17th, nearly 3 weeks after Amiya's death, the Forest Park Police Department made a stunning announcement. Alexandria Larkin was arrested. She was charged with 2 felonies, homicide by vehicle in the first degree and leaving the scene of an accident. The same police department that had publicly stated there was no criminal responsibility, no foul play, no negligence, suddenly had enough evidence to charge her with vehicular homicide. So what changed? According to the police, the decision to arrest came after they received new information and conducted a re-examination of the case in response to public outcry from the victim's family. But here's the kicker. They never said what that new information was. The video didn't change. It was the same footage they'd reviewed on day 1. The witnesses didn't change. They'd been saying the same thing from the beginning. Amiya was hit, dragged, and left to die. So what was new? The pressure. That's what was new. The family's refusal to stay quiet. The viral spread of the video. The community demanding answers. The media coverage. The online outrage. All of it created a credibility crisis for the police department. They couldn't keep pretending this was just an accident when the entire country could see it wasn't. The arrest was a victory for the family. But it also exposed something ugly. The system only worked because the public forced it to. Without that video going viral, without Chandra Walker organizing vigils and speaking to reporters, without thousands of people online demanding justice, Alexandria Larkin might never have been arrested. Let that sink in. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Alexandria planned this moment? Or did she see Amiya dancing and just snap? Was this premeditated murder or a crime of passion? I want to hear your theory. So who is Alexandria Larkin? And how does someone go from being a trusted friend to running someone over and driving away? Here's what we know. Alexandria was born May 21, 1996. She graduated from Douglas County High School in 2014 as an honor student. Smart, accomplished. On paper, she had everything going for her. In 2017, she became a mother. And by all accounts, she was a go-getter. She didn't let single motherhood slow her down. She got her license to become a phlebotomist, drawing blood, mostly working with children in medical settings. That's important. This is someone parents trusted around their kids, someone who presented as responsible, caring, professional. On April 29, 2023, Alexandria married Learian Larkin. He stepped up, took on her and her daughter, promised to be there through thick and thin. From the outside, it looked like relationship goals, wedding photos, family trips, all smiles. But behind the scenes, the marriage was falling apart. Friends say Alexandria struggled with satisfaction. Infidelity became an issue, not just with other men, but with women too. Marriage counseling, arguments, instability. And here's the thing about Alexandria that people close to her noticed. She'd start relationships by being incredibly generous. Gifts, surprises, acts of service. She'd build your trust, make you feel special, make you think she was the most loyal person you'd ever met. And then the mask would slip. People started seeing another side. Jealousy, control, a need to be the center of attention. On social media, she posted constantly about God, about blessings, about gratitude. But in private, friends described her as toxic, manipulative, someone who couldn't stand to see other people shine. So when Amiya showed up to that pre-game party and became the life of the room, when everyone was laughing with her, dancing with her, celebrating her, Alexandria couldn't take it. That's the motive. Not a grand plan, just jealousy that turned lethal. So what exactly is Alexandria Larkin being charged with? And what does the prosecution have to prove? Let's break it down. Homicide by vehicle in the first degree is a serious felony in Georgia. It doesn't require the prosecution to prove that Alexandria intended to kill Amiya. They don't have to show premeditation or malice. What they do have to prove is that Amiya's death was caused by reckless disregard for human life, or that it happened while Alexandria was committing another serious crime. And that's where the second charge comes in, leaving the scene of an accident. In Georgia, if you're involved in a crash that causes injury or death, you're legally required to stop, identify yourself, and render aid. If you don't, that's a felony. So here's the prosecution's strategy. Even if Alexandria Larkin didn't mean to hit Amiya, the fact that she drove off and left her dying in the street makes the death a homicide. Because that choice, to flee instead of help, shows such extreme disregard for Amiya's life that it crosses the line from accident to crime. The evidence? The surveillance footage. It's the smoking gun. You can see the impact. You can see the vehicle continue moving. You can see Amiya's body being dragged. And most importantly, you can see that the driver didn't stop. The defense will likely argue that it was an accident, that Alexandria panicked, that she didn't realize the severity of what happened, that she was scared. But here's the problem with that defense. She had hours to come back, hours to call 911, hours to turn herself in and say, I made a terrible mistake. She didn't. Instead, she came back 2 hours later with her husband, pretending to be a bystander. In Georgia, if you flee the scene after killing someone with your car, that act alone can elevate an accident to murder. Because leaving shows intent, not intent to kill, but intent to avoid responsibility. And in the eyes of the law, that's just as damning. The case is still ongoing. No trial date has been set. We don't know if there will be a plea deal or if this will go all the way to a jury. But one thing is clear. The family's fight worked. The public pressure worked. The video worked. Justice, delayed as it was, is finally in motion. Let's bring it home. Amiya Cunningham was 25 years old. She was the oldest of 7 siblings. She loved animals. She was planning to go to beauty school. She was out celebrating her sister's prom and her aunt's birthday. She was dancing in the street. And someone she knew, someone she was riding with that night, left her dying on the pavement. But her family didn't let her story disappear. Chandra Walker made a promise at that vigil in Cliftondale Park, surrounded by people wearing green, holding candles, demanding justice. She said, Mia's death will not be in vain. And it wasn't, because 3 weeks later, Alexandria Larkin was arrested. Not because the police suddenly found new evidence, but because the family refused to be silent, because the community refused to look away, because the video made it impossible to pretend this was just an accident. This case is a reminder that sometimes the system only works when we force it to, when we demand accountability, when we share the stories that make people uncomfortable, when we refuse to let victims become statistics. Amiya's story became a case study in how community pressure can override institutional complacency, how a viral video can rewrite a police narrative, how a family's love and determination can turn grief into action. The trial is still ahead. We don't know how it will end, but we know this much. Amiya Cunningham's name will not be forgotten. If you made it this far and you're still not subscribed, I have to ask, what are you afraid of? That you'll actually start caring about these stories? That you'll become the kind of person who demands justice when the system fails? Or maybe you're just comfortable being a bystander, watching but never acting. Go ahead, drop a comment and tell me. Tell me why you're okay hearing about a 25-year-old woman who was hit, dragged, and abandoned by someone she trusted, and still choosing to walk away without subscribing. I genuinely want to know, because if this story didn't move you, I don't know what will. To the Cunningham family and to everyone whose life was touched by Amiya's light, words feel impossibly small in the face of such devastating loss. Amiya was more than the tragedy that took her from this world. She was a daughter who made her family proud, a sister who protected and loved 6 siblings who looked up to her, an aunt's pride and joy, a friend who filled rooms with laughter and warmth. She was a young woman with dreams, beauty school, a fresh start, a future she was actively building. She loved animals with the kind of pure compassion that reflects a beautiful soul. She showed up for the people she cared about, making sure everyone around her was having a good time. even on what should have been her last night. The circumstances of her death are unbearably cruel. No family should have to fight for justice while grieving. No one should have to watch their loved one's final moments go viral just to force the system to do what's right. The strength you've shown, organizing vigils, speaking to reporters, refusing to let her story be buried, is a testament to how deeply Amiya was loved and how fiercely you honor her memory. Chandra, your promise that Mia's death will not be in vain has moved mountains. You turned your grief into action, your pain into power, and your love into justice. That kind of devotion is what keeps Amiya's spirit alive. To her 6 siblings who lost their protector, to her friends who lost their light, to everyone carrying the weight of this loss, please know that Amiya's name will be remembered. Her story will matter, and the love she gave to this world didn't die with her. It lives on in every person who refuses to stay silent, who demands accountability, who chooses to trust their instincts because of what happened to her. May her memory be a blessing. May her family find peace, and may justice, though delayed, bring some measure of closure to those who loved her most. Rest in power, Amiya Cunningham. You deserved so much more time. Here's the lesson. Trust your gut. If the vibes are off, leave. If something feels wrong, speak up. Surround yourself with people who would stop the car. Who would call for help? Who would stay? Because Amiya deserved that. And so do you. Don't let her story disappear. Don't let this become just another case that people scroll past and forget. Subscribe. Share this video. Drop a comment. Make sure her name matters. Make sure the world remembers Amiya Cunningham. Thanks for watching till the end, and until our next video, stay safe.